Yep, welcome in. Here we are. What's going on, guys? What's going on? Welcome to the Locked In Podcast, episode 52. I'm your host for the night, GMEC, also known as George Mechai, and this is episode 52 of the Locked In Podcast. Today, we got a guest with us. We got a good friend of mine and a fellow podcaster on board, my man Bob Carson. How you doing today, Bob? I see you.
Hey, George, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
No problem, no problem. Yeah, welcome in on this nice, Tuesday evening. Unfortunately, we are about 20 minutes late, but because we had some issues logging in and some small technical issues, I don't know what's going on with the connection, but thank God everything's good to go and we're set for a nice episode. So yeah, man, we got definitely a lot to talk about. But how you doing on your end, man? And you had a busy day today or something like that?
Just grinding along, man. Trying to be a little fish in a big pond, working, trying to work, trying to make money. Seems like everybody's in the same position, paycheck to paycheck, working, working, working,
Right,
trying to survive.
it's real. Yeah, I hear that, bro. It's real. Everybody's trying to survive and trying to do something, and whether they're working or trying to build up their channel, or they're kind of like just working to survive, or living paycheck to paycheck, or trying to start a business. Everybody kind of it's in this like kind of like at some point or another. Everybody's kind of
Yeah,
like themselves, but also kind of together in it to win it, so to speak. So
absolutely.
yeah, man, definitely. So, man, today we have a very nice episode on in store, and we're gonna talk a little bit about like the how you start a podcast a little bit, the start and the the beginnings, foundation of a podcast starting. You starting a podcast, it's maybe a small business, something online like a blog, YouTube, and much more. And we'll also talk about some of our experiences, and all that with these kind of things, and what we've done a little bit as well, even in terms of like MMA or fighting or pro wrestling or boxing and pancreas and all that. See where the you got the hoodie right there, man. I got mine up here too, hanging somewhere.
Absolutely. I'm represented, man.
You're definitely representing. I'll tell you that, man. Oh man, that's what's up. And so, man, all right. So real quick, Bob, before then we get further, let's talk about you a little bit. Take some time, real quick, and about your platform and a little bit what you do and all that. So you had a
Yeah.
podcast for a while now, and promote your podcast. What's your podcast called, and where can people find it?
Well, it's Carson's Corner. Right now it's on Blog Talk Radio, blogtalkradio.com/Carson's Corner. Um, I started back in 2006 covering the sport. When I started, there was very, very few podcasters out there. Eddie Goldman hosted the No Holds Barred show, who I'm friends with. And you had Ryan Bennett, who was formerly with MMA Weekly, who passed away. And there's maybe one, our Sure Dog wasn't even around. And so we were the original OGs there, going back to 2006. And I've been covering the sport really off and on ever since then. I've covered IFL events, I've covered Strike Force, I've covered Yama pit fighting back in 2008,
Wow.
Bellator,
Yeah, I know about that
and
one.
many others. Yeah, going way back where some of these newer fans may not remember this because the UFC is just kind of taken over. So that's a little bit about my background. I've interviewed several UFC champions, UFC fighters, MMA legends, and so on and so forth.
Deep, man. That's what's up, man. That sounds nice. Yeah, you told me a little about this and about the background, and we've spoken about that as well. You kind of came in an era where that like 2000, 2002 to about 06, you know what I mean? Era that the sport was
Yeah,
still kind of like evolving. It had already passed the two stages, but they're kind of like like some places were not legalized yet. The internet wasn't really it was big, but it wasn't MMA and UFC wasn't as popular on the internet as it is now. Although they had a lot of forums back then. I mean, I could find sites from like as early as 98, 99 that were covering the sport, but they're like you can find them on Google now on like the 10th result. Like they're somewhere still, but they're like so stuck in there and they're in an archive somewhere. But these are early sites, and yeah, it wasn't a lot much, a lot going on in terms of MMA UFC in those years. So you definitely came from a nice little era. And you also saw you competed around that time too, around like 99, 2000. You start getting into some matches, some shoot fights, and some MMA fights.
yeah, that's right. I did unregulated shoot fighting matches. They're known as the Bama Fight Nights. This is going way back to 1999,
Remember, bro.
to 2001. The referee, Dan Mirgliotta, Big Dan. I used to train under Dan. Dan had a school in Elizabeth, New Jersey, and he used to do unregulated shoot matches. We used to call it NHB back then, Muay Thai and grappling. It was in South Plainfield Middle School and High School. And Dan actually I think Dan started back in 93, 94 running shows. And I came in, sort of on the tail end. I did a bunch of that. I fought for Neglia, didn't go too well. I'm a little older now, but I'm in better shape and I'm wiser. So I'm still competing. I'm still training, and still hoping just to be involved with the sport somehow.
That's nice, man. Yeah, you definitely brought some big names there. Some kind of like good foundations there, humble beginnings, some beginnings. When I started watching, I was watching it then, but like around like 02, 03, I remember like seeing stuff and the sport was getting a little bigger, but not until I didn't really get into it until about 4. And then right after that, guess what happened, bro? Boom. 2005 comes January and they premiered The Ultimate Fighter. And that's how sport took off a little bit in North America in a broader sense. I mean, it was already, there, that, but I mean, he just, he kind of elevated a little bit. And because, I was doing wrestling already, since like 03 or 4, when I was in high school. So that's how my love for the sport kind of started. And my entry martial arts. I mean, my first experience and taste of combat sports and martial arts came when I was like late freshman year, early sophomore year in high school. But I was always a fan. Now, in terms of some journalism stuff, and again, building your podcast and all that, what you were doing back in 06, in conjunction with what you're doing now, it wasn't exactly a podcast then. It was more of was it like an internet show or just blogging more than anything? Like you just write stuff on posts and on forums. Was there videos too, underground videos online?
No, back then there wasn't any video streaming at all. I started on a site called Podomatic, and basically what it was is I would record, like you. I was inspired by The Ultimate Fighter, and that's what prompted me to start a podcast. And I did it basically a recording, and I uploaded to a site, and that's how it was back then. You pretty much uploaded. There was live streaming. There may have been live streaming back in 2004, 2005, but it was kind of rare and few between. Now, if you go back to 2001. They had the IATA network. That was like the first real network back, even before that, with Dave Meltzer was on there, Eddie Goldman. And that was put on by Bob Marowitz, who was a former owner of the UFC, who actually helped to create syndicated radio on the East Coast and whatnot. And Bob was the president of Yama Pit Fighting. So it kind of goes back then, but it's nothing like it is today.
Yeah, man, definitely bringing back a lot of history on this one. What's it called? Yeah, it's funny, silly, because I know about Bob Marowitz, I think was the name, right? Yeah, he was definitely one of the original owners, or maybe the ones that came after, but it was SEG, right?
Yes.
The group that ran the UFC and all that. They got in on one of Ken Shamrock's books too. If you read it, that he talks about that a little bit. There's some glossary, some dictionary words, terms about MMA and names and stuff people might not know. He talks about fighting, about technique, styles, about people's names, events, and he talks about the group that ran UFC. It's kind of interesting how UFC kind of started in that sense, and now it's like they have podcasts and shows and everything, radios there, stations that talk about everything. It's worldwide. It's a company, and it's got worldwide sort of like revenue and connections. But it started as like a promotion in America between some Brazilian martial artists and some guy, Art Davey.
Yeah.
On Facebook. I think you're friends with him too, I believe.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
He's the one like kind of like had ideas. He's seen the ideas. He's seen the vision. He witnessed the mixed fight in Thailand, mixed rules between like a Muay Thai fighter and like an MMA type of prize fighter, almost like a shoot fight, but a little different. Obviously in Thailand, more rough, knees and elbows and all that. Burmese Thai fighting, basically. He saw that, he's inspired. He said, let's do this man-to-man versus, style tournament. And that's kind of like, one of the, he helped with the idea, but obviously Horian already had the knowledge because about the Tudo and all that, and Jiu-Jitsu from Brazil and everything else. Brazilian freestyle fight.
And then you had John Peretti, who was the original matchmaker of the UFC. And Peretti basically termed the phrase mixed martial arts, and that's what they started to refer to back early. I mean, there's all sorts of.
They start using it later.
Yeah, John McCarthy claimed that he coined the phrase, but that was really the birth of what we now refer to mixed martial arts. I mean, obviously it was before 93, Royce and Ken and whatnot, and there's stuff that predates that. It's difficult to tell the exact origin of anything.
Yeah, for sure. Good point. And again, our friends who are Davey and some of these guys on Facebook. Not sure about Bob Marowitz, but definitely some of those guys. And that's also a very interesting area that we can even cover on another topic as far as the UFC goes, on like the 99 period, like when they brought in, what's his name? What was the matchmaker's name? Joe Silva.
Boss Rutan?
Joe Silva.
Oh yeah, the matchmaker. Yeah, he was under Dana White. Yeah, exactly. And
right.
he was under Lorenzo Fertitta.
Yeah, he came after. He came before Dana, believe it or not. He was there like like late 98, 99, 2000.
Yeah.
Because Dana brought, they bought the company in 2000. That's how everything kind of went with the UFC and all that. So yeah, definitely some good, interesting topics there. There's even a small docu series I used to see on YouTube years ago. I can't find them on YouTube. I don't think it's there anymore. It was called Bad Blood. It was called the true story of the Ken Shamrock Tito Ortiz beef, and in that he talks a lot about the early events, like that, the Middle Ages period of the UFC, so to speak. Like that dark ages, which is like from like late '98 to like about or '98, yeah, '98 to about like early 2001. So about 3 years. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Now,
And
go ahead.
go ahead.
No,
No,
you
I'm
go.
sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. No, I didn't really have anything.
Okay. I was just gonna say, I want to ask you something. When you first started getting into actual podcasts, like what you consider podcast, this is like what, like 2015 and 2016?
No, I was doing it back in 2006.
Oh, okay. So they even had podcasting back then, but it's a little different.
Yeah, I mean it's different in how it's transferred now. Like I said, everybody's doing live streaming now. In one form or another. And some of the quote unquote bigger guys,
Right.
they have TV shows and they're affiliated with networks and MMA fighting and all these. I call them Johnny Come Latelys because they really, really have been and whatnot. But the great thing about mixed martial arts, I could tell anybody that wants to start a podcast. There's a million podcasts out there. Like I said, when I started, there was just a few. Now there's literally probably 10,000 podcasts. And you got Rogan, and most of these podcasts, most of the people that listen to are going to listen to Rogan or some of the big guys. The main thing I could tell you is MMA fighters are and have been very, very accessible. It's easy to get a lot of fighters. You may not get the top guys, but there's a way to get fighters. There's a lot of people to interview. And the UFC used to be very difficult to cover the UFC. Now Dana White doesn't hold the press credentials anymore. Now they do it through like almost a separate entity, I think, in the UFC. And I'm on the UFC press pass. I can go attend the UFC the UFC event if I wanted to. Anybody could. Anybody can attend a Bellator. Anybody can attend the Strike Force and whatnot. And I see it all the time. People that really have no connection to the sport are covering this. So it's very easy sport to cover. It's very, very accessible. Whether or not you're going to be able to make a dent, I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, now if you're a part of the press, and again, a journalist, a guy, part of the media / press, a guy that has a platform, a podcast, you've been doing this for a while. Now, obviously, back in the day it was a little different, but you're doing it as early as like 06, yeah. It was even before, prior to that probably. So it's like it's been an evolution for sure. I started getting to podcasting around 09, but even me, I knew what it was a little, probably like 06, because I would watch the internet radio, trying to, I knew people that would do, small shows. But back then, like you said, it was such a big, difference. Now it's kind of like nothing. Everybody kind of could do it. We're doing it right now. Everybody has a show. Back then, it was a little more, less accessible, to have. And as far as some of the fighters, yeah, definitely fighters come on different shows and all that. And you know what I mean? It's kind of like always been that way. You might get a guy who's really cool and humble, you come to your show, and even a bigger name. And there might be guys that might not want to come, and they might just be, busy doing something else, and maybe they got bigger commitments or media press to do. I remember watching one time the Metsera pod. Speaking of MMA podcast, since we're on the topic for a few minutes, I was watching the podcast, and it was a Metsera with Tony Ferguson, and it was actually Jim Rome, his buddy Jimmy. He impersonated Tony Ferguson. He acted like it was Tony. Like Jim went to the bathroom. In reality, played it off, and he got so cool that like they actually kept it as an intro. So he says Metsera versus Tony Ferguson on YouTube. You get to check it out, but it's not really Tony Ferguson. And it was hilarious. They're like going. He's like, yeah. So like, oh, so what? The first question, he's like, oh, Tony, you already know the questions. Sarah's like saying, because he sadly, he was playing Sarah. It was Jim Rome. He's like, yeah, I was being pressed, press. And he's like, oh, next question. And Sarah's getting mad. And he kind of like was I don't know, I guess like pranking him a little bit and trolling him a little bit. So it was things, just,
there's a lot of fighters that have it. And that's why it's so difficult to really, because you're competing with Matt Serra in the UFC podcast. You're competing with, Michael Bisping and his podcast. And these guys have huge.
Was that? McCarthy. You're also competing with Josh Thompson, Big John McCarthy. I mean, the list goes on.
I know. Yeah, exactly. But if you love the sport, and you want to be involved and you want to cover the sport, you can. There is an avenue for anybody out there. To cover. There's also the MMA Journalists Association, which I think is really it's not worth it. I mean, just a lot of fanboys join that, and you can join that, and you can reach out to other journalists out there and get insight and whatnot.
Definitely true, man. Definitely true. So yeah. about that too. Like, I mean, as far as we go here, man, we do a little bit of everything here. There's episodes that I might have certain guys, and there's episodes that I might have different type of guys. But there definitely is some room for like MMA journalism reporting. We do a lot of sports, and MMA is big cover sports. So a lot of times I'll cover it along my partner Steve. You know, he'll do a lot of the football and the NBA. I do some of the NBA as well as NFL. Sometimes I'll mention something about soccer, and even I mean we cover everything, even tennis. I mean anything that's really big. We can even cover golf. So I mean imagine how where MMA fits in there. I mean MMA will be like number 2 or 3 as far as like the sports we cover. You know what I mean? NFL or football. We have basketball. MMA. We're not gonna call it UFC because everybody calls it UFC. We'll just say MMA then / UFC because that is the biggest promotion. Big kids,
Yeah.
like top blockers on the block, the top dogs. A little bit of NHL. Obviously, we support a lot of Philly teams, and that's another thing we always kind of promote and talk about. And the Eagles will, I believe, I don't know if the game started already. It's already 7:06. I think it's like, today's game night. So I mean, I'm not sure the game started, but I'll be watching at my job and actually working as well. So go Eagles. Shout out to the Eagles and all the Eagles fans. Now, let me just say one thing, man. When I started the podcast, right? Like some of the sort of like challenges starting a podcast, like I'm gonna ask you some as well, but I would say for me personally, I think it was kind of just like knowing how to like format it and having kind of like a theme or no theme, like how we do. We have a little bit of everything. We're kind of like a little different with it, where we cover a lot of personal development and tips like that. But obviously, even like on a picture, you see like a big stage in a concert. I mean, we kind of like cover a little bit of everything. Just try to keep it as exciting and balanced as possible. So like I said, there's the stuff we talk about MMA, about the different stuff like NFL, about what's going on in the world a little bit, some type of current events. But we also talk about a lot about like improving, sort of like the lifestyle, men and women obviously, but it's 2 guys, so we kind of obviously give advice to men and all that, and we try to explain like where things are going and events coming up and all. So like I was saying, having said that, basically some of the beginning stuff, man. I think in the beginning it's kind of good to kind of like have like a little bit of like a venue, a little bit, know exactly like what you're going to talk about, have a little audience so you can build up an audience, or sometimes you build as you go, and try to keep up with it and just kind of like strive to work for it. And even if you have to take some time off, always kind of put on a show to kind of keep the podcast growing slowly and reaching a certain amount of episodes. What about you? What are some of the things that like you encounter like in your sort of journey, and some of the things that when you start out, like what are some things that you would say?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that? You're breaking up.
Oh, I said, what are some things that you would say that like, or kind of like are basically some of like the challenges when you first start out?
Yeah, the challenge is, I think, is just trying to make an impact and trying to get noticed and get an audience in a sea of endless podcasts. If you're fairly technically proficient, which most people are, if you're going to start a podcast, you could stream it on Facebook, you could stream it on YouTube. You have different software, and you have apps like you're using now. So that's an advantage because nobody's doing just straight audio recording, and everybody's streaming, live streaming, and whatnot. So that's good. But the challenge is just getting your name out there and getting people to notice you. I mean, as popular as MMA is, it's still a very, very small community. So you can do it.
Yeah.
You just got to know where to go, and you just got to, I guess have a decent show or bring something to a market that really has so many people in it. You're competing for listeners. As I said, it's very easy to cover events. It's very easy to get access to fighters. It's not like NFL, NBA. I remember years ago, the Underground Forum, that's where fighters hung out. It was on the forum. They interacted with fans. And I don't think that in any other sport, the fans and the athletes are as close as mixed martial arts. One of the things I love about it, so that's an advantage for people that want to start a podcast and whatnot. So, and also another disadvantage is making money. If you have an expectation of making money off this, I think that you're almost going in this foolishly, because I know people that have been doing this for decades, and they haven't made money. It's very, very difficult. So I wouldn't necessarily include that on your your sources of income.
Exactly. Like your expectations or your goals. I mean, you're not going to necessarily make a lot of money as an MMA journalist, probably have another job, but as a journalist, you can still have some kind of revenue and make some kind of money, and maybe even kind of break even for your time and how much you're putting in. But like you said yourself, there's competition to get to those guys that interview the big names and have all these channels and do all this journalism. And like work for like a magazine, maybe, you know, because they have MMA magazines. I mean, I remember even like 10 years ago, like 8 years ago, but they're kind of like a little on the radar because everything's online now. So I don't know. Maybe one
Yeah.
day in the past, maybe not. I hope not because I love magazines. I actually have a lot of those Ultimate Grappling and MMA magazines, but definitely, you know, touch base on that. Yeah. And so what are some pros and cons of having a podcast? You know, I mean, I'll give you like 2 minutes to talk about it, and then I'll jump in.
I mean, the pros are you get involved with the sport. If you love the sport, you can interact with the fighters. You can interact with many, many personalities. You know, a lot of people are accessible. You know, you get to develop your craft. You get to hear yourself. You get
Right.
to cover sport and maybe offer a different perspective and whatnot. The cons are probably, or you know, what I said, it's very difficult to make money. It's very difficult to get noticed. There's a million people that do podcasting now. And really, at the end of the day, is it worth it for you? Is it worth your time? And, you know, you're going to have to spend a little money. There's no question
Yeah.
about that. But you have to decide, you know, whether or not it's worth it. Another pro is maybe it could lead to something else, writing, or you can open up your own site or your own photography, a website or business or whatnot, which is, you know, definitely possible. So one thing could lead to another. But again, most likely, you're going to be podcasting just as a hobby, just as somebody that does it, that loves the sport. 99% of people that listen to podcasts listen to the big guys like Rogan and other people. They get all the audience. They get all the traffic. If you look at YouTube, you look at all the numbers. It points in their direction. So you're a tiny fish in a huge pond in the ocean.
Yeah. I definitely completely, and I'm actually just want to say one thing. I'm actually gonna finish off on that sentence, but so one more thing. A lot of times you're kind of like in a small pond, but it doesn't take much to kind of get a little more audience, especially if you engage. But I feel like you got to be with the right people. Just in like you said, in the YouTube world, period. Think about how many people are getting monetized, or how many people are not. How many people got time to get a studio and do this, in a more sort of like upgraded way. I mean, we have a nice little platform, but we're still growing. We got to get like a studio eventually. I could do this, again, in different places and even outdoors sometimes, but I do it from my own house, you know what I mean? But sometimes, let's say you get a studio, you grow more, and there's ways to even buy buyers. You heard about that? Like you kind of do, buy viewers. I mean, you can kind of like you put money down to promote your content a little more, and those kind of things help a little, but we haven't really engaged too much in them. We're kind of just building it from the ground up. But again, we've had some success. He has worked out a little bit, but there's definitely some pros and cons, and these are some of the cons. They're like it takes a little hard. Sometimes it gets a little rough. You feel like you're good out of material to post. And although that's not the case, it just seems like you get stagnant because everything else follows. You never get paid. It takes a while to get viewers or to get the hours to actually get, monetized from YouTube or whatever, Facebook or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, I know.
Something, another thing in its own identity, the algorithm too, how you promote it, how you say what you say. So
yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah.
So about the thing, right? You're saying that like you definitely get like a lot of good things to go with it, but sometimes it's hard a little to be noticed, right? Like sometimes you got to go out the way. Do you do some promotion for your own podcast, or it just kind of like high comes?
I was on the underground for a while, and I was a very popular and controversial figure on the underground. That's where most of my notoriety and attention came from. I have done other for other sites but it's been really kind of useless. So I kind of promoted on my own. I'll post it. I'll post on the forum. There's the MMA community, which I know the owner of that. I'll post it there. So I kind of use it. I used to have a mailing list years ago, like an email mailing list of everybody in MMA, but that's kind of old fashioned now. So that's what I do. But there's other ways to promote it. I mean, you could send it to different sites and you have your own Facebook following and you could YouTube and all that stuff. And so just kind of get it going, get the ball rolling.
Yeah, it's a good point. Definitely, man. That's just kind of like it goes. It kind of goes with it a little bit. Like you just gotta like grow. You know what I mean? Promote as much as you can. Go to events. But it's also good to be seen out there and to again the event that we were at, the Pancrase one. That was great just to be there. Even if we didn't compete, for example, if you're there, you get to attend. Then you can do the video, and then you can promote that. Like, look, I was in an event, and you were part of a podcast. You bring people in there. You can even bring people that you network with there. You can bring them on your show, vice versa. How we did it right now, we come to your show too. So there's no doubt about it. We'll make definitely collaborate a little more. And that's the beautiful thing about this game, I guess. But again, it takes a long time to get there. And also, don't forget that people like the Rogans of the world and I mean, Matt Serra, Mike Tyson, some of these other guys. They're either influencers or they're big time names, or they're already celebrities. It's not like Instagram
Right.
made. I mean, Instagram or the podcast world or YouTube made them. They're already. I mean, there's some YouTubers like Jake Paul was basically a YouTuber blogger, want to be kind of boxy, box a little, whatever the case. Now he fights, pro, but he also came from YouTube. Now he's a show and he can do like a podcast because he came from that world. He came from blogging, just trolling, basically talking shit. A troll fighter, That's kind of what he became.
Yeah, yeah, and what are you going to do? How are you going to differentiate yourself? There's a lot of shtick too in podcasting. I mean, now you got guys like the Schmo and just a lot of shtick and a lot of characters and a lot of people like Ariel Helwani, others. They're affiliated MMA fighting. Ariel was with ESPN, then he moves over to MMA fighting, and then you got other guys like Puke Thomas, I call him. He's with Showtime. He used to, guys like that are affiliated with sites or networks. That again, it's just by default they're going to get a lot of people watching or listening. So it's really you just got to do it for the love of it. I don't think you should have any real expectations. About getting any type of fame or getting any type of real financial compensation. But it could happen. Anything can happen. You don't know. Nobody knows. But more than likely, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. I hear you, man. Again, man, we do this for different things, different reasons. But I mean, we're definitely heading somewhere. And again, being affiliated with who we are, because I don't want to talk too much about everything that that we do behind the scenes. But again, the right connections. I mean, you can find yourself, in a documentary, in a movie, in a small production place, a TV show. I mean, there's, radio. I mean, there's big avenues to explore, but again, it takes a lot of time and the right connections. It's not about just who you know; it's also who knows you, and also who you can help. Also, can help you, in a sense to like network and what they can do for you. You can do a lot for others, but can do something for you because even sometimes bigger fish in a quote unquote pond or celebrities, they might be like, oh, okay, they can't lose for you, and guess what? They don't help you. Some do. There's a lot of good ones too. I mean. You met a lot of cool celebrities, cool fighters. They're really good people as well. And there's some that are more sort of like a little more of whatever. They don't really get involved like that. They're more arrogant or whatever. Call it stuck up more. Because they think they don't gotta talk to no one or whatever, report no one or what I mean.
Yeah, I've had a bunch of those. I mean, I could tell you, over I've interviewed hundreds of fighters and been doing this since 2006 and. I've had some people that would blow you off, and some people that I've interviewed UFC champions that before they were champions are like, yeah, I'll come on your show and I win the belt, and they don't even take a call from me. Some of these fighters they have what Jerry Millen would call a star attitude. That they only allow themselves to be interviewed by some people, and that they're assholes and they're stuck up.
Yeah. No, I believe it, man. I believe it, and here's what I have to say too. I met some of those guys. One of my first encounters with a lot of fighters was in 2007, and I believe it was a Bulldog event, and I met Mel Lindland. I seen Phil. I didn't meet Phil Baroni, but I seen him. He's right there, big dude, wide and everything. I seen him with his girlfriend. I seen kind of like seen / met up Trevor Prangley. Remember him, Trevor Prangley?
Yeah.
All right, going away a little bit. It's a little stuck here. I think your view is a little. You'll be all right. But yeah, so Trevor Prangley, and I met Chael Sonnen, the American gangster, Chael Sonnen.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah,
there was a.
I met him as well. I saw him at a media. One of my partners is good friends with him, and we're not friends, but friendly with him. Exchanges texts, and he's another guy too. He's another guy that has a huge platform, has a huge amount of subscribers on YouTube.
Yeah. I feel you, bro. I feel you. I mean, like I said, dude, this is before the fame is again 2007, so the sport was kind of growing, and I remember watching the fights and going on Sherdog, net results right away, and Sherdog was my go-to site at the time. It still kind of is. I mean, but there's, Bloody Knuckles and MMA Mania, which used to be called UFC Mania, but I changed the name. It was like the same thing, but now it's just MMA Mania through SB Nation and all these other Ring Reporter. We'll be doing some networking actually. Speaking of these, bro, and then again, you were one of the guys actually on board, one of the plugs, because we'll do some work in networking and to get some of these journalistic and some of these sites to cover MMA journalism, combat sport journalism, like wrestling, pro wrestling, MMA, a little boxing, shoe fighting, etc. And also a lot of Japanese publications and mediums. But in Japan, obviously a little different. It's a little far and the language barrier. So we'll start here and then eventually in Japan with Pancrase because, it's It's time to, like I said, raise the bar. I mean, we got to bring Pancrase big here in Philly, in the PA area, which we will be discussing about as well on a future show. And
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
absolutely.
Definitely that, bro. What I was gonna ask you, just one question, real quick, man. Any upcoming fights, so the people might want to hear, because I mean, they know you're an MMA fighter now. We kind of like put it out there. You have any fights planned or anything you'll talk about, or that's not being discussed, and you can't kind of like behind the scenes, or
I'm hoping to fight on one of the next Pancrase cards shows. I got to wait and see, but hopefully that's the case. I'm doing a lot of boxing, and I'm hoping to do some boxing tournaments or boxing matches in the future. But maybe Pancrase, or I may do a grappling event. There's going to be a Naga tournament in December, and then there's the IBJJ tournament next year. I may do that with a bunch of guys from my school. So a lot of stuff.
That sounds very nice, man. I'm definitely interested with the Naga too, and some of these grappling events. BJJ. I'm actually focusing on both gi and no gi. I wouldn't mind doing some gi as well again. And again, gi and no gi, but I just gotta train gi a little more again, because it's been a while since I've done gi. I've done a lot of no gi lately and a lot of submission grappling, but definitely gotta do some again. What was I gonna say? So I mean, you and me have worked together in the past, but sparred a little and worked together, and you're definitely doing some good work. So if you do have good luck. I might have something as well planned, and again, I'm also open to some MMA and shoot fighting matches or shoot style fights, as well as some pro wrestling. But I want to do boxing in the future, and for the boxing, when we come to Philly, we'll check out a gym that I know, which is not far from here, and we'll see how kind of everything that goes with that one, man. Cool, man.
Yeah,
cool.
we got to get you here in New Jersey too, man. I want you to definitely come down here and.
I gotta come to talk again, right? To Pellegrino's place and a couple other gyms out there. What about? I got a question for you, real quick. Let's stay on this topic for a minute. I don't take my time. It's real quick. The MMA Jersey scene, right? Which I know very well, by the way. What about Nick Cantone's place? Have you ever been to Nick Cantone and Mike Vincenzio's place?
I've never been. Nick Cantone's place is in Brick, and I used to work for Kmart before Kmart went out of business, and it's in a plaza where they had a Kmart there. I don't know, but I know that it's a very nice facility, and they have several professional fighters that train there. Marlon Moraes trains there. Claudia Gadelia sometimes trains there, and they have a couple other good pros there. Aside from that, I don't see too many Cantone people doing MMA and whatnot. But here in New Jersey, you've got a Ring of Combat still runs here. Lou Negele, as I mentioned him earlier. You got CFFC, which really is a Philadelphia-based promotion, but you got Dead Serious, which is part of Ring of Combat. They run shows here in New Jersey, and you probably have Asylum and a couple other small promotions.
They got those prize fights. They call them like prize fights, or the old school prize fights with like barely any rules. Basically MMA, basically Tough Enough, and they show them on Pluto TV, and there's another channel here that shows them, right? And they show those, as well as Triton, which is in New York City. Now, Triton is a New York City-based promotion. It's kind of newer, so I don't think it's been out longer. It hasn't been, in sort of like in motion, promoting or making fights before 2017, possibly post 2016 or that year, so something like that. But they're also a big one in the Triton Fights, which you heard of them, you know about them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Triton and
I mean, and the UFC. The UFC sometimes runs. I remember years ago they used to run in Atlantic City at the smaller venues. Now that you can go up to some of the other arenas here in Newark and whatnot. But sometimes they'll run here and whatnot.
Yeah, UFC still comes in Jersey. Well, it still comes. I mean, definitely Newark and other parts of Jersey, like maybe like in the Jersey City area, New York now. But do they still go to AC though? The UFC, they still do, right?
Occasionally, yeah.
Occasionally,
I can't remember the last time they were here in New Jersey. I think they had a fight night maybe in Atlantic City, but I'm not sure.
Possibly. The fight nights in AC are pretty nice, so I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I was like, they were there a lot back in the day, and in Vegas, it's kind of started out in Vegas, the whole fight nights. Now it's like there's so many fight nights. There's a fight night every weekend, but there's an event once a month, sometimes twice. The events, man, they built so many events just too quickly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
Every 2 months, and there'll be a little more rest for the people. Now it's like you're getting, because there's more fighters too. So the demand is like they're fighting every other day, every month. It's like
you can't keep track of it, man. I can't. Even if I followed it full time, I wouldn't be able to keep track of it.
Oh, I mean, neither. I never really could. Even back in the day, I would try to a little bit, but I know a lot of the old promotions, some of them which are defunct now. Again, a lot of prize fighting, hook fighting, and all that. And early to mid promotions, hook and shoot. Obviously, Prankers is another one which we spoke about. King of the Cage. I mean, what was another one? Like maybe the IF International Fight Championship, I think. IVC.
IFL, yeah.
IFL is another one.
There was
Then
the IFC too. There was
yeah,
Gladiator Challenge,
Gladiator Challenge.
Rage in the Cage in Arizona.
Absolute Fight
Monty
Championship,
Cox
Raging
has got
Cage.
some promotion in Iowa and Texas. There used to be yeah. But most of these are regional, and most of them, they go out of business. As we've seen, WEC, which the UFC bought them out and all that stuff. So
Zuffa had them, and then UFC bought them completely out.
yeah,
LAXC and Strikeforce are some good ones. I mean, once upon a time, and again, as well as again, Bulldog Fight and a couple others. I mean, now Bellator is like kind of like the main one. They're not going out of
yeah,
business anytime soon. I mean, they're good. Yeah, but definitely
absolutely.
like other promotions are original. They're still around though. Yeah, it's deep stuff, man. Good stuff. Like I said, definitely, it's still going on. And now YouTube covers everything. You can still watch stuff on YouTube from those promotions, So like we just talk
Yep,
about YouTube as everything.
absolutely.
No problem, no problem. What's it called, bro? Well, man, I mean, like I said, if you need to get going, we've done a nice amount of work for right now. I'll probably continue to show a little more. Again,
Yeah,
before you go, before I let you go, anything else say, kind of like add on a little, like anything you forgot, any shout out, any
yeah.
mention, anything?
Absolutely. People can follow me on Instagram, instagram.com/Bob Carson MMA, facebook.com/Bob Carson MMA. Keep in contact with me, and when I do a podcast, it'll be on those platforms. And we appreciate you, George. I appreciate you having me on. And let's do this sometime in the future, man. I'd love to come back and shoot the breeze about maybe I could be a correspondent, or maybe we could cover events together. There's a lot we could do.
Yeah, we could definitely do that, bro. And again, we will talk about scenes. Me and you have already spoken in the past, but we'll definitely touch base on that. So again, I will definitely see you also before you do leave. I mean, before I leave, we'll kind of touch base and mention a few things. Real quick, what's the name,
Good.
the official name for your podcast? You said the Bob's Corner, or is it called, or Carson Corner?
Carson's Corner at blogtalkradio.com/Carson's Corner.
Gotcha. There you have it, guys. Everybody's watching and listeners and all that. One-time listeners.
Thank you.
Bob's Corner, yep. The blogs.com. Yeah. And again, it was good to have you, bro. We covered a nice amount, man. I guess I will talk to you soon. We'll have you again soon, and just keep you posted everything, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Take care, everybody. I appreciate it.
All right. Oh, there we go. Yeah, my man Bob on a check-in. Yeah, Bob today. He had to leave a little earlier, so here we are. We'll kind of cover a few more things and a little more of the podcast. Probably just read some emails I received. There were some super chats from like last week and a few things. Usually when people want to talk or send us a super chat shout out or a chat, we just kind of like read it, and again, we thank them for support and kind of keep it pushing. We do appreciate you guys, coming in and just commenting and just all the above, watching, liking, subscribing. Like me and Steve always say, always remember to follow, share, like, and subscribe. We're gonna have content for you guys. A lot of stuff coming up as well. So yeah, we spoke about a good amount of things, and again, some people probably will be sending some emails or some DMs and all that. A lot of times of questions that way, or sometimes you have super chat. You can also see it here right on the screen on the banner. We have it set up that way. We had past episodes where people would ask a question that would just kind of like answer it, or there'll be some more engagement and all that. That's that is. Some days are different than others and all that. But today we have a nice amount of things. So, all right, let's see. Email. Some I might say the name, some I might not say. This is from BK Leonard 91. BK Leonard 91, whoever that is. I think he actually follows one of our page. He might be following maybe my Death Row BMMA page. I might have to check that. So he says, "What's up, guys? Lock the Nation. What's up, GMAC?" He said that what was one of the hardest things when you started the podcast, like in the first few episodes? What were some of the hardest things and the hardest thing in your opinion? Good question. BK Leonard 91. I think one of the hardest things was actually probably I mean, at least for me, I really can't speak for Steve, but I think kind of me and Steve spoke about this too. Was kind of like just making sure to kind of build a little bit of kind of momentum with it and understand how to do that. So get some good episodes, and practice as much as we could. Obviously, the first few episodes were not that great, but we kind of covered a lot, and I mean, yeah, I remember the first ever episode was on September 9th, 2020. It was actually about why do you cope with COVID and what's going on, in the whole thing, like with COVID and how you handle the quarantine, things you could do and things you could learn. And that's like we kind of came up with the idea. I mean, we kind of started the podcast a little before because we're gonna do it earlier than that, but it didn't go out that way. So to build up some momentum, get like the audience right and just kind of like start getting the flow of things, and knowing when to do it, like getting the times and all that, setting it up. We're doing it pre-recorded at first, and then we started doing it like through live stream. And even then, we were doing it like with Zoom for a while. Now we're doing it on StreamYards. We're just trying to improve and get everything going, little, to the next sort of like stage to elevate us as far as the podcast goes and to grow more the viewers and all that. And that's kind of what it is. Yeah. So yeah, that was it basically. Just kind of like starting out and just kind of like going with it. Not being not being shy in front of camera, not like feeling like you don't know what to do or you don't know like what you can talk about. Always kind of stay with the topic and go forward, and also kind of like make sure that one of the things we engage the most with, make sure the audience knew what they wanted, and then if there's always anything like us talk about, it's always we say let us know, and if you have ideas, we're with it, and yeah, I mean when I got ideas, sometimes they DM us, sometimes they don't. That's how usually we do it. All right, let me read another one. Casey Flips at Yahoo. Okay, Casey Flips. What's going on, man? Shout out to whoever that is, Casey Flips. I believe he's from New York City. Okay. Was it hard to adjust to like the camera and to make sure that everybody can understand you and all that stuff? Yeah, actually, it wasn't hard, but I had to do some adjusting and make sure that I engage with the camera and know what I'm doing this and that, and it was definitely like I said, a little bit different experience, changing experience. Make sure I understand if I don't talk too fast, try to slow down a little bit, and this and that. So yeah, yep. Let's see. My man Jamal one. He's gonna check in. What's up, Jamal? What's going on? It's another one I have. He said, "How high were you on the set there when you went to California at the event? After the event, he said, how high were you on the set of the event after you actually fought after the event? Okay. Oh man, I don't know. I didn't smoke before, like before, but I smoked on it prior to that. And yeah, after the fight, I definitely smoked. And they're the whole tour bus, their party bus is amazing. It's like these people that my friends and some of like dance people, Aries people, business people, all those other guys that were there. All these guys came there, like it's like 4 dudes, and I was introduced to them. Again, my friends, so it's like like all right, cool. I said hi, I kind of like to watch the fights, and they came in a tour bus, and I mean they had like bottles, and I mean liquor, they had weeds. It's them. It's dude. His wife was there. They're pretty rich, obviously. Stacked because they went to the boss, and they had like all these like beautiful, chicks with them, and it was a couple dudes. It's like 5 dudes and like maybe 3 or 4 girls, but there's other girls that came like watching from the audience, because it wasn't a huge audience. It's a couple people though, but it was like a nice amount, maybe like 200 people in total, and some people from there kind of like went into towards the tour bus and kind of hanging out. He kind of reminded me a little bit like the food truck festivals and the festivals in Mid America and all that, because they had music too. Though obviously they had a DJ. They actually 2 DJs. There was actually DJ on the bus, kind of like spinning a little bit, but they had a DJ outside taking care of the event, and they play a lot of corporate music. So yeah, after that match, man, I got pretty, yeah, definitely smoked a little bit, definitely some puffs. So it's a good investment. You never know, we might need it. All right. Somebody's been asking me. I'm not gonna say what it is, because actually a lot of people ask me this question too. So when you gonna be going to Cali, and how long you gonna be there for? I'll be going there in about a week, so I'm actually gonna be there next Thursday, so the 21st. I'll leave early in the morning, and I'll be back on like Sunday morning. We'll be back in Philly. I think with Philly time will be about around like 10:30 or 10 o'clock. I think you said. I think it might be, yeah, 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock. So yeah, and then obviously Pacific time is a little behind, but we'll get there like sometime like late morning, early afternoon on Thursday. But again, with their time, it might be like something like 10 in the morning, maybe even 9 possibly with Pacific time. So I'll be going to LA, and like I said, I'll be staying for about 4 or 3 days. So not that bad. Yep. Got a few things going on, guys. Again, we have another event coming up and a couple other nice episodes, some good content. Steve has a couple of people that he's got going to be bringing in. I got a few people as well. Next episode is going to be definitely a really good one, and I have another special guest. Today was a little kind of like, it got kind of like condensed a little, fluctuated a little bit. We didn't have enough time. He seemed like he just couldn't get in. I almost had to do it on my own, and I would have rather have done it with him, which I'm glad he came in. That we have Bob today on the show, but so today could have been a little harder, but he wasn't and got everything well. So yeah, so that as well. Also, I want to say shout out to the blogger Doggy Diamonds. Shout out to Doggy Diamonds, and shout out to Miss Jones from the radio show. Miss Jones, yeah. If you're watching, we're definitely big fans of yours. I actually spoke to Miss Jones on IG a couple times, and we actually spoke. I follow her from one account, but also from another one. We spoke, and she always, like, shows a lot of support and love. She's a really like nice person, very cool celebrity, radio person, radio chick. I mean, she's like a radio diva, and she always encourages you to do your thing. I even told her about the show, and possibly, we could work something out. Who knows? I mean, again, we're only growing, so we could probably bring her in here. Because if I could bring Miss Jones, she's a legend. She's a radio legend. Never mind this podcast. We're talking about radio to a whole nother bracket extent, So we could definitely go, on that. We could go take it there and go on that road and bring some, big names as well. But again, we're just like still kind of going a little experimenting, and like I said, it's gonna take some time. But 2022 is gonna bring good things in, so we're ready for that. Yep. Somebody asked me if I have to work tonight. Unfortunately, I do. Unfortunately, I have to go in, so that's just how it goes. Anyway, so we definitely covered a nice amount of like YouTube-based topics, how viewership is viewed, pros and cons. I started a podcast. We had Bob on the show. I think it was a good, overall a good show. If anybody is out there watching, definitely got to check out this show. That the BMF show is actually a really good show. I did see one episode, and they have a whole. Again, I could even do a whole topic and a whole episode on that. I actually might do one if I do one like a solo one. Again, guys, Stevie's on a little hiatus. He's on a little hiatus with some work stuff and he's doing a few things behind the scenes. So, Steve, for those that are wondering, they were hitting me up earlier, some of the DMs and super chats that I received. Steve will be back sometime in November. So, but we do have a very big guest, like actually a celebrity coming in November. So, you guys stay tuned, especially you guys from the Eagles fan section and a lot of the Philly fans and a lot of NFL fans as well. We're gonna have some big names coming in. Not one, but a couple guys. So definitely be on the lookout for that. Again, October is shaping up to be a good month, and then November might be even better. But let's just stay with our feet in the ground and take it one at a time. Also want to give a shout out to Jonathan Green. I'm sorry, John Green, for coming last week, or I'm sorry, 2 weeks ago. Last week we didn't have it was a canceled episode, but the one before that. So shout out to John Green for coming on and talking about fatherhood and early fatherhood, and basically doing a really good episode, an excellent episode, really good. So that's our friend, one of our alumni now. So again, we'll bring a lot of guys back. It's only getting better from now. So we're gonna keep our viewers, sort of like entertaining, guessing, and we get in there. This Friday, what's going on this Friday? It's a whole lot of noise here. So this Friday I'll be working, but after I get off work, I will be at La Fusion. Check out La Fusion. It's a nice little mini bar lounge. It's on the 11th and Washington. 11th and Washington. Real nice place, real sick place. It's really beautiful there. I mean, cool vibe. You're a little bit like a little balcony. I mean, I dig it. So everything is cool. Yep. So we'll be there. But other than that, excuse me, I'll be at the club working. I am off Saturday though. So Saturday we're gonna make the move. We gotta find out what's the move on a Saturday. Got some viewers. People are back and forth watching, stop watching, but we're almost at a wrecking point. Yo, who are you? Yo, okay. I'm not sure who you are, but what's up, man? How's it going? Thanks for watching everything. Well, this has been a Locked In Nation Team G-Money co-production presentation and co-production. I think we kind of reached about like that, kind of like sort of like halfway point, but now I gotta get going. Big guy. What's up, big guy? Anyway, so I will see you guys soon. See you guys next week. Again, we'll have more guests and things will start to flow again. It just has like a week off, and as of right now, there's gonna be a couple guests on, and myself, Steve will be back in November. We're still building up, and like I said in the previous post, the one from last week, that we're doing some stuff behind the scenes, and a few renovations as well. And again, I don't want to say too much, but definitely things are going, to happen. So stay up, guys. Stay blessed. Stay true. Let's do this. Be the best and fuck the rest. I'm your host. I'm GMAC, and I gotta get going. Hey, what time is it, man? I gotta get out of here. It's getting late. Good guy. I'll hit you up later, all right, big guy? I know you are. Now I know. Some people here on the chat, writing comments and stuff. Hey, George. What's up? How you doing? Yeah, I think it's almost time for me to go, though. It's just about that time. Gotta start wrapping it up. So I'll see you guys all soon. Take it easy, all right? Peace.